pushing here. He needs to make, some headway here through this board. He can't just let Dice set up this huge defense that he can't ever get through.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty small Twilight Drake if it gets played on curve. Kolento again letting Thijs clear the board. He knows he's in no hurry to get those out.
It might just be good enough. A 4-5 is pretty good against a lot of what this deck can do, except for on turn 6, he's going to have the Secret Challenger here.
Hey man, this used to be the best drop. About it.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? It glitched.
Shut up. Yeah, I was saying the Twilight Drake has the size of what used to be the best 4-drop in the game.
Right, yeah.
Yeti is still pretty solid nowadays. You still see it crop up in some variants. With the advent of TGT, some Druids have been trying to reincorporate more 4-drops because Darnassus Aspirant lets them curve into 4 a lot more reliably.
Yeah, I've actually seen a couple people put Chill and Yeti into decks because of that very thing you just said. They have the extra copies of Wild Growth now. So you have 4 mana on turn 3 way more often than you did before.
And now Kolento is pondering whether or not Redemption is worth it, knowing that he's going to play the Mysterious Challenger on the following turn. And he says yes. A good play from Thijs here would be to just play the Sludge Belcher and pass. That would be really difficult, because Kolento doesn't really want to play this Challenger on this, because he's actually losing 2 secrets being drawn from the deck.
Yeah, and that is something that's actually going into Lyce's mind right now. He's thinking about this. Do I attack this turn? Do I trigger secrets? He's going into his turn 6. If he plays Mysterious Challenger, then I get to take some value away from him here. That's something to be thinking about for sure.
I might just go face again. You test for Noble Sacrifice. That's the worst case scenario. And then you're guaranteed not to trigger. Maybe the secret to beating this Paladin deck is just to ignore the board. you just play temple stuff and you ignore the board fully and you just let him do his thing.
Yeah, you got secrets, whatever, attack you. Yeah, secrets.
I still remember when they changed secrets so they couldn't trigger on your own turn. It really changed the way Paladin secrets worked. Because usually, you could sometimes against Headlock, eye for an eye your face into a Molten Giant and win the game.
Okay.
Yeah, that used to be pretty crazy when you couldn't trigger them on your own turn.
Oh wow.
My goodness, Kolento. What a great draw you found.
Yeah, it's practically back-to-back Divine Favors here. He's going to get... I like playing the Mysterious Challenger first because it gets all the secrets out of your deck, and then you're going to draw nothing but gas here the turn after, but he's actually considering maybe doing something else and, developing a board. Because he'll have 3 mana left over of the Divine Favor, and you gotta believe he can play a few minions. But yeah, it's hard to pass up a Challenger here.
Do you pop the shield? I guess you kind of have to. The Belcher is still an annoyance no matter how you look at it. By letting the Slime live, you expose it to a possible Noble Sacrifice. That's good enough. There's really... The only reason you would trade off the 1/1 is if you don't want it to get redeemed, but you've already played Redemption, so both of them are already out, so it's pretty much a non-issue.
Yeah, that would be heads-up play there to trade off the 1/1 if you did have a Redemption here, but as you said, he's already gone through both of them. Now, what does Thijs have to do here to get back in this? Because this is going to be hard for him. If he draws an extra card this turn,
all right,
he's running into Divine Favor.
So here's what you know. You know it's Repentance, you know it's Noble Sacrifice, you know it's Competitive Spirit, and you know it's Avenge. Right? It can't be Redemption. So if you attack with a Slime, you trigger the Noble Sac, which triggers the Avenge. Then you see where that goes. If it goes on a 6/6, that's really bad. Because what happens is you can't even kill with your Drake. Alright, Noble Sac comes up. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's trigger everything.
Yeah, it's a chain reaction. It's actually so long when you're playing Patron and this happens, honestly. Well, one of the worst, actually the worst possible outcome. This couldn't have been worse, I think. Repentance goes off, and the Competitive Spirit will make sure that Kolento stays and keeps a good board. An even better board. And Divine Favor, unless he picks up like a 5-drop. Yeah, another Mysterious Challenger would suck, but alright, still fine.
Yeah, drawing 3 cards for 3 mana is still great. We talk about, Battle Rage drawing 2 or 3 for 2 all the time being amazing. This is just as fine as well.
Alright.
Try to get a free juggle here.
If he gets this one, it's going to be huge. Wow, what a miss.
Yeah, he had a 1-in-4 shot here of just, decimating Thijs' board here.
Well, I'm guessing Kolento still has to... So, would you consider killing the Emperor? But the thing is, you're exposing your guy to your Drake. Maybe you kill the 1/1 with a 10/9. Kill the Emperor with a 6/4.
If you're going to kill the Emperor, that's the way you do it. But you miss 10 damage
Yeah.
that way, which is practically half of his life total.
It's so hard to justify.
Yeah, and you do have another Divine Favor behind this. So you're going to be drawing a million more cards again next turn. Oh man, it's hard to just like, how much is 10 damage worth to you? Like, what is 10 damage worth to you? It's worth a lot to me. All right, so he's going to make a play where he trades off and gets, you know, just a great board position here.
I can't fault him for that. Oh, that's a clear. Well.
No, oh yeah, with Dark Bomb maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. He can actually just, he's safe here. Well, safe. That's a big word, but I think he's as safe as he can be, considering the start the Kolento got and the follow-ups that he did.
So Thijs is going to draw a card here, set himself up to be able to clear this board, or clear most of this board here, or this Hellfire and this Dark Bomb. He's going to be able to set up some pretty good turns here.
The Owl is a pretty insane card to pick up.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say, he did pick up Owl, yeah. Now, what's the opportunity cost on, like, just holding on to Owl here? You know, you don't get to do the rest of your turn like you wanted, but...
Oh, you deny Blessing of Kings, right? I think you know by this point that he runs them. We've seen it earlier. Kolento plays 2 Blessings of Kings, which again, a really big deal. He gets to curve in perfectly with True Silver here, refreshes his hand full 4 cards for 3 mana. Kolento drew like a god this game, to be honest.
Yeah.
This has been probably one of the better draws I've ever seen out of Secret Paladin.
Yeah, just a perfect pickup here for him to get his whole hand. He gets another Mysterious Challenger, but I think he actually might be out of secrets now.
There might be one left, but I can't even think which one. I mean, it's got to be... It's not Competitive Spirit. It might be another Avenge.
I think we may have seen both of... I think he might actually be out, now that I think about it.
Well, no, another Repentance if he runs the second one.
It's still a 6/6.
Yeah. 6/6 for 6. It's still topping the curve pretty nicely for a deck that tends to run so many weak cards. Now, Thijs has to make a decision. Do I play an 8/8 like right now, or do I commit? Because like if I play a giant and this is Repentance, then life sucks. Even if I heal bot, right? Like it doesn't matter; it still sucks.
Yeah, he could heal bot first if he wants to here, and kind of play around it that way. But then it makes the Mountain Giant so hard to play later in the game.
Is he going to consider the Iron Beak Molten because he thinks he doesn't die? It's kind of risky to double Kings though.
Yeah, he can't even check first because then he can't play the Molten if he plays the heal bot. Yeah, this is all pretty rough.
Yeah, I think you're forced into playing. Actually, the Owl would negate the Repentance. Now that I think of it, it would actually remove the -7 health. All right.
Oh, he does play Secret Keeper. Yeah.
Kolento, how do you fit all those cards in?
Maybe he only plays one because we haven't seen the card almost the entire matches against him. So.
Yeah, I think it's a fail-safe. Honestly, like if you're stuck with it, like you were saying earlier, this deck draws horrible hands when it gets a lot of secrets. Well, Secret Keeper kind of negates that because she doesn't benefit from Mysterious Challenger, whereas she does from Secrets played from hand. So she turns awful hands into bearable ones.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see him set up a pretty big board state here and then try to get this Competitive Spirit to go off.
Yeah, it looks like there actually are no more secrets. Kolento is trying to just put on as much pressure as he can on the board, and right now it doesn't look like it's going to get answered immediately.
Yeah, do you Competitive Spirit here, or do you hold it as a reload with the Muster for Battle? And I think that's what he's thinking here. You know, if there's a clear here, it's going to cost him his entire giant, which, you know, he drew the Shadow Flame. So it's going to cost him this whole turn to do this, and then he can refill with Muster for Battle, Collective Spirit, and then he has a Blessing of Kings behind this as well.
Thijs knows this is not Competitive Spirit. So Thijs might feel super safe. I mean, you can afford tapping if you know this is not Competitive Spirit. It's not Redemption. You've seen those. Oh, This is interesting. I might consider playing Dr. Boom and trading. Alright, instead he's just going to pop the second Noble Sack. I mean, that's a pretty good Shadow Flame either way, really, if you think about it. It's not going to get any better. You're taking out the second biggest minion in this Paladin's deck. Unless there's a Dr. Boom or a Tyrion. Some lists run those.
Yeah, he has to clear here. He's actually facing lethal damage here from Kolento with this Blessing of Kings.
I can't imagine he's not Shadow Flaming, right? Like, there's no way.
Right, there's no way, yeah. You just have to here. And I think you can even, I was going to say, you can just play the big game Hunter because there's no way you're actually going to get to big game hunt anything anymore in this game.
Wow, this is a surprisingly solid turn for what looked like a dead hand from Kolento. I mean, Secret Keeper into Competitive Spirit into Muster for Battle is really convincing.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be able to re-establish a huge board for him here and present another really hard problem for Thijs to have to deal with here.
Needs to pick up another Hellfire. I know he's got one left.
Yeah, if he doesn't draw AoE here, it's going to be very hard for him to recover from.
Yeah, Boombots are going to have to do a lot of work. Step 1, pick up a coil. Step 2, top deck the Dark Bomb. Step 3, play Dr. Boom.
Did you see,
Yeah, I saw Thijs.
yeah, that was awesome.
He's like, Secret Keeper, really? I'm gonna die to that card.
Yeah, the first time I saw that, I was like, come on, man. Like, the first time I lost this deck, it's like, I just lost the Secret Keeper. Then I realized the deck was actually very good.
Yeah. Nobody believed in it when Xixo played it in Archon Team League, and I was just surprised that nobody liked it. Because I thought it was like one of the possibly strongest decks that came after TGT. It turns out that, of course, Xixo's deck list wasn't that great compared to some of the more refined lists that exist around the metagame right now. But I hope this archetype is here to stay, to say the least. Silence that thing now. Unless you need to keep it for kings, of course, which if you expect your opponent to hold, then you play it cautiously.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to take a lot of damage
here
this turn.
14 damage. Actually, if Kolento top decks a True Silver, he's got lethal. Oh, well, he's got it. He needs Consec now. Oh my! This is some really low health, Thijs. You know you're one off of death.
Yeah, he's got 13 here, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
14,
10.
no?
Oh, 14, yeah, 14 with the weapon, yeah.
This is scary. Could this come down to a one-off lethal for Kolento?
I mean, do you just push all of it here, or do you just, like, take care of Dr. Boom? I mean,
what else? What else can you do?
Else
Put your opponent on 1 health. The worst that happens is he plays another heal bot and taunts up. But at this stage, can you... I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made for Blessing of Kings and trading, as you said. And then maybe playing the other muster to tank the Boombot hits.
Yeah, I mean, this spot's actually really difficult because, you know, how much recovery do you have left in your deck? You've already used your Mysterious Challengers. You already are out of secrets.
I don't see any recovery mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, this might be your final push.
I'm going to guess that it is. You spread the buffs around. You make sure that you can have at least 1 minion that can get the last points of damage in if everything goes badly.
He's even going to muster here.
Yeah. And now Kolento's all in, and Thijs, at least, you know, for his sake, he's picked up the Sun Fury, picked up the other Molten. Okay, now this is where Thijs has a chance to come back if Consecration number 2 does not show up for Kolento.
Yeah, does Kolento have any burst damage left in his deck? If not, this is going to be really hard for him to get through. Thijs might have stabilized control here.
I really doubt that Kolento has any burst, but a Consecration might be enough. You know, it's just a little bit more damage you can squeeze in behind the taunts, which might explain why the all-in made sense.
Yeah, I mean, if he has nothing left with which to win with there, I think you just have to push in, and this board state is going to be very difficult for Kolento to get through.
Yeah, he's facing down potential lethal next turn. Well, he's guaranteed lethal next turn, actually, depending on what he top decks. It has to be Consecration. That's not it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, Thijs will get away with the win. What a grueling game that was for the Warlock player.
I mean, all right, so he can kill...
the Lotheb. Yeah, he can kill the Lotheb and live 1 turn for the Consec.
Yeah. I mean, he has to
do it, right?
A 9-mana Blessing of Kings to do this. So he can't even make another 1/1, but that's irrelevant if he's just playing to the out Consecration here, so...
Wait. You buff the Kings, you pass, you kill Lotheb, you pass, you top deck the Owl, silence the Giant, hit the face with Life's Justice.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually another thing. If there's an Owl in this deck, that is also an out.
Yeah, it's not over yet. Why? I call that way too prematurely. I thought it was guaranteed lethal, but the Kings actually allows him to make a good trade.
Yeah, there are like a couple of one-ofs here.
Healbot? Uh-oh. could I make a draw?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you draw the game here?
I don't know. So there's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. He can actually draw. He can draw.
Yeah, but you go for the win. You're just up for the win next turn.
But think about the draw. you reset the game and you know your deck has the edge.
That is actually really true. You know that you're dodging maybe 1 or 2 outs here.
Well, is that ever a thing you do in a tournament setting, or is this too likely a win to throw away? I mean, what if you lose this? Like, that draw is going to be the most bittersweet memory Thijs will ever have had.
All right, well, he's going for the win.
Well, if Kolento can do it, Owl or Consecrate. Oh, my God.
He's got a chance here. 1 in 5.
No way, this can't happen. It did not. The green still lights up. It hit something else.
All right.
Whoa.
You gotta let it slow roll the viewers, man.
Right, dude. I can't do this. Even I can't take it. This knife juggler could have been the definition of salt itself. So we saw Thijs take it with a handlock, which again was very well teched against aggro. Unfortunately, we didn't see too much of that tech. We saw the Earthling Farseer healing up the Ancient Watcher, but the Zombie Chow didn't show up. The double Owl was somewhat interesting sometime in the early mid-game, so it did play a role, but Kolento was 1 dice roll away from taking it.
Yeah, I mean, he went from being certainly dead to having a 1 in 5, like a 20% chance of actually just winning the game on the spot. So he played to all of his outs. Great play from Kolento there, not just giving up. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that might have just conceded in that spot and not given themselves a chance to win.
What's interesting too is if you really think about it, like the draw that Kolento had was the nuts, and it still wasn't enough to deal with the handlock from Thijs. So I think Thijs' deck was just fully prepared for something like this, and Kolento is going to queue up with the Paladin again, running into Patron, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, this is what he's been doing here today. He's just been leading with this deck and leaning on it until he gets a win with it.
Yeah, maybe when you spot that this is potentially a weak deck for you, then you want to make sure you get the win as fast as possible in Conquest. I mean, if you think about Thijs' lineup, the Patron is also somewhat favored in this matchup. It's hard to lose to a bunch of 1/1s when you're spawning a lot of Patrons off of them. It's just difficult when the Divine Shields add up in the early game.
Yeah, he also might be trying to avoid other matchups as well. You know, you don't want to run into a matchup that you really don't want here, and maybe he likes his Paladin versus a lot of what's left over, you know, in Thijs' lineup.
Oh man, Kolento going for the crushing, the redemption shielded mini bot. He won't like you. I hate Divine Shields when I play Warrior, but I guess every Warrior does. I think it's one of those things. Oh, pretty bad draw there from Kolento.
Yeah, I mean, it might be okay later in the game, you know, if a big turn happens from Thijs that doesn't actually kill him, like if he has to value a turn as you draw extra cards, maybe like Acolyte of Pain or something. But yeah, this isn't something you want in your hand right now in the game. It's not going to have any effect.
So knowing that this is not Noble Sag, do you try to check for Repentance with well, I guess not. Oh, no, you checked for Repentance with Armor Smith already. Yeah, never mind. You just have to check for Revenge now.
And this is the easiest True Silver champion he's ever played in his life.
Yeah, I mean, it's the least damage this Frauling will ever do.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen how many turn 3 or turn 4, how many turn 3 Frothings have we seen today? It seems like every single one of them has just been turn 3. We haven't seen the big burst turns, or almost all of them. If Patron
has to start playing more tempo because the metagame is speeding up a little bit, then that's good news because we're going to see maybe less blowouts from you know, combo holds that just lead to an instant win.
I mean, yeah, do you remember back in the day when you get to play Hearthstone and you'd be at 30 and your opponent wouldn't have any creatures in play and you'd be like, oh, I'm safe, I'll just play out some minions? You're not safe anymore. That's not something it's actually a luxury for you anymore.
Right. Miracle Rogue rarely killed you from 30. They kill you from 20, 24.
Yeah.
But from 30 was a really big stretch. Like, they had to have some crazy hand with crazy preps.
But you'd hear Leroy yell at you like 3 or 4 times in a turn.
Yeah. That guy never had chicken either because he never died.
Yeah.
Just killed you. Alright, so Kolento did get his shielded mini bot back. That's exactly what he was looking for. Now the question is, do you trade away the shield, or do you force the Death's Bite to be popped on it?
Well, here's the thing. Kolento's hand is actually pretty bad right now, like, especially against like what Thijs is going to do. Like, he's got 2 Divine Favors that aren't going to do much here.
With trading away,
swept up in a lot of the things, like...
Yeah, I don't know. True Silver, like, trading it away here and you play the Muster.
Yeah.
With Avenge, that would give you a pretty big minion. At least one. One minion will be big.
Yeah, I was going to say, he pretty much has to use his weapon on the Armorsmith here. You have to value this Divine Shield so highly right now because it's the only way you could keep a minion in play. You know, this does force the Deathbite proc from him, but this isn't, you know, a great winning play. He has to make this to get some kind of threat in play.
Yeah, Kolento here playing around Patron knows that if a turn 5 Patron falls down, I'm going to be in trouble. So he plays Repentance. That's going to force Thijs to play something else to absorb the Whirlwind effect, because you can't just waste a Patron here when it's one of your most consistent win conditions. This here I think is a great play, because you can even follow it up with the Acolyte of Pain and draw, what, 2 cards here? And just out of that Death's Bite. That's crazy.
He gets Kolento's entire board as well. I mean, the double Whirlwind effect here. This is a great play here.
Alright, so it turns out Patron's pretty good against 1/1s. Whoa.
Oh, he's just gonna, wait to... He doesn't want to proc his Death Bite yet because of Grim Patron. He's got Grim Patron and Whirlwind next turn if something crazy happens and he needs to do anything like that.
Oh, it makes sense. Never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just too sensible. So forcing the shield pop. You might not even bother with the shield pop. It depends if he wants to let... Because, I mean, I think at this point Kolento might be willing to let his opponent draw more cards to enable Divine Favor.
Yeah, that is something, you can kind of do there, is let them draw extra cards and buff up your own Divine Favor, but you're still giving them extra cards with which to kill you. And, I mean, Thijs is at 27. With your hand right now, the way it's composed, you're not winning this game anytime soon. So, I like this play. Just draw a couple extra cards off of Divine Favor here and slowly start to build a board back up and hope Thijs can't kill you over the next 2 or 3 turns.
Well, that looks like a crazy Patron board for Thijs. You got the Patron, you got the Inner Rage, you've got the Whirlwind, and the Death's Bite. If this isn't a full board by the end of the turn, I'll be a little surprised. Although, I guess you might cap it a little less than that if you don't want to make too many.
Yeah, and what does Kolento do against this? He has Muster for Battle, and Knife Juggler in his hand, both cards that aren't very good on this board against a board full of patrons. So you gotta feel pretty good about this board if you're Thijs here.
So could Kolento get some lucky juggles that enhance his position? So if you go for Juggler, Noble Sack, Juggler, Noble Sack, Muster, fill up the board and get a Consecration on a board filled with 2 health patrons, I could see that. That's happened before.
Yeah, it's something you might have to play into. I mean, these would have to be some very lucky juggles.
Yeah, I don't really see a way out of that play though. Victory. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's just dead here. Yeah.
All right. Well, it turns out Paladins don't think they can win against this, and I think he's overall pretty right. It seems like unless you get that crazy Divine Shield start, just unstoppable through Ardent Squires, a big Secret Keeper that doesn't get stopped, get the early juggles that don't get countered, you can't really win in a position like this. So he's gonna have to face off against the Druid from Thijs, which we've seen doing very well so far. Maybe it's gonna be a bit rough. I think though that Secret Paladin is gonna do best of all the decks against Thijs against the Druid.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what Kolento was looking for here. The matchup he was looking for was to get the Druid deck out of Thijs' lineup here, because that's probably his best matchup with this deck against Thijs' lineup, and it just never happened. It happened to be the 3rd deck that he queued up here, so he got a little unlucky in the first 2 games. I hate any form of the Paladin decks that are aggressive against Grim Patron. I mean, I feel like you're just such a dog in those matchups, because they don't even have to actually interact with you too much to win. Just what they do is bad against you.
Well, I mean, what you do feeds them power, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
whenever you play a card, you're giving them the win. So you almost can't play anything, otherwise you're just feeding into their game plan. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that front.
Yeah, you play like a Muster for Battle, and they have an Acolyte of Pain in play, and they're like,
right?
They're just like Whirlwind.
Yeah, you're like, well, I don't play Quartermaster in this list.
Yeah. Maybe they should be playing on a Quartermaster just as like another way to win.
I'll be honest with you, I would love if mid-range Secret Paladin saw the light of day. I think right now the very aggressive lists are going all in pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a recovery card or 2. Kolento had 4, with Mysterious Challenger and Divine Favor, but we saw him go through multiple of those in those games and still not to be able to keep up in some of the spots.
Yeah, because you do get, small cards out of the entire thing. So sure, you do replenish your hand, but overall, you're still replenishing with small, I don't want to say low impact, but I think that's probably a good way to put it, like low impact minions overall.
Yeah. Thijs with a Living Roots, a Swipe, and a Keeper of the Grove here. A great hand against the Secret Paladin deck here. And he even has a reload behind us or a heal. Ancient of Floor. If you can just get this board under control at all, or just keep anything from getting way out of hand, you gotta feel like he feels good about this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the Dice's hand is what's going to carry him forward here. Kolento, however, had a pretty decent start. You know, double shield mini bot with a competitive spirit that's not really answered at the moment. If Dice raised into competitive spirit properly, he might leave only 1 minion up. But again, with what's already been played on the board, it's going to be a little tricky to manage. I mean, Swipe and Keeper just carry, because even if buffs come out, you got a silence. A minion comes out, it stays alive. You can just swipe Living Roots. The curve is too good for Thijs.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got all the answers against the aggressive decks here. He didn't even need like an Innervate here. Like Innervate into Keeper of the Grove is usually like what you're hard mulliganing for in the aggressive matchups. He doesn't even need it here. He's gonna be able to just contain this board just enough here.
But this is kind of what we've been talking about, though. We were saying how Darnassus Aspirant, sure, it's just a wild growth, but it's also a body, and in this case, you can see it shine just because it's a body. If he didn't have the 2-3 and he just had the wild growth, he'd be in an okay spot, but not as good a one as he is now.
I mean, look at the spot he just put Kolento in with this turn. I mean, he played the turn amazingly. That was great sequencing there.
Yeah.
From Tyson. He's just going to have to get a really good juggle here as well. I mean, all of the juggles are not bad as long as it doesn't go to face. I mean, any one of them can clear a minion, but some of them are way better than others.
Yeah, killing the Shade here would obviously be the absolute best, but we'll see where it goes. And it goes face! Wow, and what a whiff. Yeah. Kolento playing the dice roll game and losing at it pretty harshly, and the swipe is going to come down to just confirm, I guess, Dice's transition into a possible 3-0.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance we might just see another early scoop from Kolento here.
Right.
It just gets his Paladin deck 3-0'd in what feels like, 15 minutes.
Pick up all the cards and leave. Well, then again, he does have Mysterious Challenger comebacks just based on that card. If he gets Mysterious Challenger into a Divine Favor, things can go very differently. It's not quite over yet. I mean, a Consecration here will allow him to clear the Shade. Choose Our Champion will also help. So there's a few cards that can make this a little bit more bearable. Wow, this is neither.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's just gonna... Yeah, this looks so bad.
Oh well, Kolento doesn't want to bother with this. He realizes the odds are not in his favor, so maybe Secret Paladin not quite up to snuff just yet to bring to a tournament.
Yeah, it didn't look very good today. We saw some great draws from it, we saw some bad draws from it, and we saw some good draws not be enough for it to win.
Yeah, against the Handlock. I mean, he had just about everything he wanted. The double Divine Favor, the Mysterious Challenger on curve, and the Warlock still got away with the win. Of course, it was a very anti-aggro tech Warlock. We have to specify that. But either way, like, if you're going to be running into those types of decks, you're going to have to just not play the Secret Paladin. It's not going to be consistent enough. Maybe a slower type of Secret Paladin deck could be better, but then the question is that better than playing just a typical mid-range or control?
Yeah, and we even saw him not win against what are perceived as good matchups. You usually like to be on the Paladin side in the Druid matchup, and I mean, let's be honest, that draw from Tyson was pretty damn good in that game. I mean, he had all the tools he needed. He sequenced really well. Not taking anything away from Tyson that matchup, but I thought he played that game perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty short game, so it's hard to really make mistakes, but the Druid, because of Darnassus Aspirant, it gives him an additional way to get a body on the board that doesn't rely on curving with with Innervate, because sometimes on turn 2, Druid has simply no play, unless he Innervates out of Shredder. So this will be it for the day, guys. We see Thijs move on as the second winner of Group B. He's going to be moving on with Stan Sivka to the second phase. Now, this is it for this week. We've already done, Group A and Group B. We've got Group C and Group D coming up next week. We'll have them on Monday and Tuesday. If I'm not mistaken, you will be casting with me on Monday.
Yeah, I will be, and I'm very excited to see these matchups. Oskaka, a player I'm very familiar with. I cast 15 matches of his through HPL. Not too familiar with his opponent. I'm going to do some research on him this weekend, but also you got to be excited about the Firebat Lothar matchup as well.
Yeah, I think Lothar, the team captain of Nihilum, it's not a player that we see play in tournaments too much recently, so it's kind of nice to see him come back. And for Group D, which is going to be happening on Tuesday with Savitz, he's going to be coming back for another round of casting. We'll have Orange from Team Archon and Shnatu Dachi, which I just don't know who that is. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to look into him a little bit more. Dog and Forsen playing off against each other as a follow-up. I'm pretty excited to see what comes out of TGT. I mean, giving it an extra weekend, maybe the metagame will shuffle up a little bit and new decks will be brought to the forefront.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I know for a fact one of Orange's deck has some new cards in it, so I'm pretty excited about seeing that as well. I'm not going to give anything away, don't worry, buddy. And really excited to see just more new cards, because honestly, it's like you said earlier, TGT, like seeing new cards, we've been kind of disappointed lately.
Yeah, I think it's all maybe due to the fact that Inspire either doesn't work too well or hasn't been figured out just yet. So we'll have to give it maybe a bit more time. I mean, GVG metagame didn't splash too much. Like Nax was very established, took a little bit of time before GVG started skyrocketing to a modification of decks. So we'll see, maybe the same will happen in about a month. We'll get a totally different metagame. That being said, guys, that's it for the day. We hope you enjoyed the matches. We had a lot of great games. No hunters, so everybody rejoice. Maybe we'll get that same treatment on Monday again. Although I guess I'd like to see some Ram Wranglers, get some King Crush,
Oh yeah.
Get some skill up in here. We need some more of that stuff happening. So I guess thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a nice weekend. Until Monday, take care.
From east to west, heroes are sent, seeking glory in the greatest of events. There are knights on noble steeds, those who will bring them to their knees. There are monsters to test their mettle at every turn. Legends will rise based on their merits. There's even pirates riding parrots. It's the grand